Welcome everybody to the MiniMapCast. This is your weekly source of gaming news, questions, and impressions from minimap.com.au. My name is Kerry Palmer, and joining me is Jeremy Bratatich.
On the ones and twos.
On the ones and twos. And threes and fours. I feel like you're on many things at the moment.
It just occurred to me that, it just occurred to me that one, we're on video, hello, and two, that I hadn't ever, I don't know how long that transition takes. And I realized that I had to change scenes a little bit earlier than I thought I was going to, just for a moment.
Oh, is there like dead air before the transition? Like you press the button and nothing happens for a bit?
Oh, no, I just mean in terms of I was going to press it a couple seconds later for when the music kicks in, but the transition takes maybe a second or two.
Yeah.
So.
Jeremy mentioned it just then, but this is not our first attempt at this, but it's going to be our first proper attempt at recording the podcast with video. So if you're seeing this on YouTube, then hi, this is what we look like. This is what's going on right now. And a little bonus for... Pardon?
You'll watch me take a big sip of my Sprite.
You watch me take a big sip.
Yeah.
Something else that you can... a little bonus for you visual viewers out there. This is currently my podcasting companion. Let me just grab I've got my little ginger cat here on my lap, Griffin. Until she gets bored and decides to leave, she'll stay with me. Let me just see if I'm in frame there. I'm not. All right, fixed. Great. Jeremy, I would like to ask you how your week of playing games has been.
It's been good. Let's go into that a little bit later because it's part of what I've been playing this week.
Okay, fair enough.
It's been better than I expected. It was better than what it was about 24 hours ago.
You did some homework cramming, did you?
Just a little bit.
It's funny. I'm still getting used to my mic arm. I keep touching it. I'm just like, oh, move here, move up here. Oh, up there, up new. Oh, yeah. Jeremy, something I was thinking about this earlier today, and I was like, I should bring this up on the podcast. But do you know the band Queen?
I've heard of them in passing.
Just occasionally here and there.
Yeah.
I was at my partner's mum's house earlier in the week, and we put Queen on the speaker for it to just sit there, and it was just Queen on shuffle through Spotify. And I was sitting there, I'm like, oh, this is Queen too. And then it was like, this is great. Like, obviously, a lot of Queen songs are great, and I knew that. But hearing so many of the back-to-back... Like, how many hits did they have? It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
What a band.
I feel like I'm like... What is going on? Yes, Kerry, Queen are a very popular and very loved band. They have got a wide variety of hits.
Yeah.
Have you seen Wayne's World, Kerry?
No.
Okay.
Is that like Spinal Tap?
Oh, look, I think they're not dissimilar. Wayne's World, I think, Wayne's World is a bit more broad in terms of its appeal.
Okay. A bit less niche.
Yeah. But yeah, Wayne's World features a prominent Queen scene. There's a part in Wayne's World where they like the two characters. I'm explaining Wayne's World on the podcast. There's Wayne and his band are in his friends. They're in the car and they're listening to Bohemian Rhapsody and they're headbanging to it, and it's like a very famous comedy scene.
Yeah. I feel like I even know roughly of that.
Yeah, it's not a band. It's about a TV show.
Wayne's World.
Party time.
Nailed it. Well, despite this intro and basically our last 10 intros, this is a podcast about video games. We're going to talk about video games in this podcast. Maybe Queen at the end. If you want to see this episode on our website, you can go to minimap.com.au where you can find this episode and all other episodes of the MiniMapCast, as well as our other podcasts like The Pecking Order, which is our pop culture kissability ranking podcast, and our mini disc game club special episodes on this feed as well. You can go there, minimap.com.au. We're also,
I think it's probably worth mentioning that that's going to be the easiest way to find the video podcast, at least initially. We don't have like a YouTube URL because you got to hit a certain upper echelon to get one of those.
Yeah, we can't say go to YouTube/minimapau.
But you can also find the website via...
You can find the website via...
you can find the post via the other social medias that we're on.
Yes, the other social medias that you're on, which if you're watching the video are below on the screen. But we're there. We're on we're MiniMapAU on Patreon, where you can support us monetarily. We're there on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. Anything else?
Facebook, but we haven't posted there in about 3 years.
yeah, Facebook, but so you can find all of the stuff there. We'll talk about that a bit later. We also wanted to say thank you to Shook for letting us use the Mood Model D Improv as the music for the Minimap Cast. You can listen to more of Shook's music at shook.bandcamp.com. This is weird. I was going to be like, oh, it's a weird week to start. It's not a weird. It's exactly the same as all the other weeks. And it has been a weird week for games, I think.
It's going to be the same kind of week for the next few months, aside from the gigantic news that came out today.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that today?
Yeah, we can briefly touch on it.
Do you want to do that at the start? Because I think nothing else here screams current, brand new, must speak about.
Yeah, let's just briefly talk about it. Just because this is coming in pretty hot. This is coming in only from a couple hours ago now.
Yeah. We're recording this on Monday, the 2nd of May.
Yeah. So I've got a copy of the story here via Kotaku from Luke Plunkett. Headline reads: Square Enix selling Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, and Thief and their studios as well. They have sold them to the Embracer Group for $300 million US.
Previously known as THQ Nordic, and now the group that owns THQ Nordic is no longer also called THQ Nordic. They're called Embracer Group.
Yeah, it's really weird.
They're the people who buy things.
Yes. From the article here, it says the studios Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal, the latter of which will presumably be in for a name change, numbering around 1,100 employees worldwide. The catalogue of IPs owned and/or worked on by those studios, including Deus Ex, Tomb Raider, Thief, Legacy of Kain, and the continued sales and operations of the studios, more than 50 back catalogue games. That was a quote at that point. Also of interest, Crystal Dynamics is actively working on several AAA projects, including the next mainline Tomb Raider game that will deliver next-generation storytelling and gameplay experiences, end quote.
So was the figure mentioned in there, Jeremy?
Yeah, $300 million US.
$300 million US for 3 studios with, was it 8 locations, more than 1,000 staff, dozens of intellectual properties, dozens of games, including Tomb Raider and Deus Ex, some of the biggest names in all of gaming's relatively young history, for $300 million. Now, obviously, that's a lot of millions of dollars. But when we look at acquisitions that have happened recently, the Bethesda acquisition, the Activision one is ridiculous, but that's kind of that's not really in the same conversation.
I've got a really good comparator here, which is from Luke Plunkett, but just on his Twitter this time.
I think I saw this one, yeah. Talking
about Embracer Group's most recent purchase, which is Gearbox. Gearbox was $1.3 billion.
Billion. B billion.
Big B billion.
And that was a single studio.
That was a single studio. And don't get me wrong, the Borderlands franchise is expanding out into movies now. They've been very popular for quite a long time. So I don't not understand how much that cost. But what I don't understand is how cheap they got all of this stuff in the deal that went through today.
Totally.
That seems absolutely wild.
and Square Enix just agreed to it.
Yeah.
Like, they did.
They've wanted to get rid of these studios for such a fucking long time, though, right? Every single earnings call after they make a after any of their Western studios release a game, they're like, "Oh, it underperformed. Oh, it didn't do as well as we hoped. Oh, the numbers aren't as high as we were expecting." Blah blah blah. And like that's why Hitman and IOI Interactive it went independent, because Square Enix year after year were like, "It's not doing what we want." I don't know what they were expecting it to be, but from what everyone else could tell, those games are doing just fine. The third Tomb Raider, maybe not as much, but that wasn't Crystal Dynamics. Crystal Dynamics went off to make Avengers. So
which didn't do very well.
Which didn't do very well, and that was Square Enix's fault. But it's just bizarre. It's really strange, right?
Yeah, no, it's so strange. Like, it's so cheap for an acquisition of this scale, and it shows a few things. It shows that the sort of the amount of goodwill behind these IP, I think, has diminished somewhat in the last couple of years. Deus Ex, definitely, since Mankind Divided. That one was fine, but was very quickly in bargain bins for like $8, and you couldn't get rid of them. They'd hang around forever.
Yeah. Tomb Raider as well. Those games were they did pretty well, but they dropped in price really quickly.
Yeah, totally. And when Rise came out and it was Xbox exclusive within the first 2 years of the Xbox One coming out, so it was going to a really limited market of people who got that console.
Yeah.
That pretty publicly underperformed. And that hurt it, I think, when it came to PlayStation. I played Tomb Raider Definitive Edition on PS4, and I've never gone back to play Rise or Shadow, and I might have if it had been everywhere when it came out.
I also went back to play Tomb Raider 2014 or 2013, whenever it was, a couple of years ago now, because I wanted to play Shadow when it came out, and I was like, oh, well, I'll go back through and I'll play the other two leading up to Shadow. And I got about a quarter of the way through Rise, and it wasn't even because it was a bad game. I think it was just because it was the same game.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel more of that.
And
looks
enough
great,
voice acting and great set pieces and all of that, but it just doesn't quite hit in that same way. So but at the same time, you can't just pretend the Tomb Raider IP isn't the Tomb Raider IP.
Yeah, it's classic. It's it's a very important piece of gaming history.
Yeah. So it's fascinating the way it's shaken out. I just kind of can't believe it. And Square Enix came out with a response afterwards that was so exceedingly corporate. It was in the Discord, wasn't it, before, Jeremy, where you posted it?
Yeah. I've got it here.
I can read it. Hang on. I'd just like to. I want to sell all of the business lingo that's going on here. So hang on. This is from Luke Plunkett's article further down. This is a screen grab that he posted. So it said, "So why sell?" Square Enix's own press release says. Here's the quote. The transaction will assist the company in adapting to the changes underway in the global business environment by establishing a more efficient allocation of resources, which will enhance corporate value by accelerating growth in the company's core businesses in the digital entertainment domain. In addition, the transaction enables the launch of new businesses by moving forward with investments in fields including blockchain, AI, and the cloud. And then Luke comes in at the end here saying, imagine having to put on your CV that you sold Tomb Raider to at least partially fund some blockchain shit.
Gross.
Couldn't agree more, Luke. Couldn't agree more.
Look,
I don't even know what I said just then.
It's
just that they're funding blockchain.
Yeah, that they're making money, but not enough as they want, and so they would just want to make more money regardless of how awful that will be.
It strikes me a little bit as Konami going sour. You know what I mean? Konami's just got different priorities to what they used to. They did make games. They've had this huge catalog of games. They're still sitting on this huge catalog of games. But the money's in pachinko, and we can make great Metal Gear Solid cinematics and put them on a pachinko machine, and that's going to make more money for us than making Metal Gear Solid 6. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. They know that Final Fantasy is in the bag, and they've got their studios doing that. But then after that, what is Square Enix actually doing aside from being disappointed in the efforts that they are actually funding?
I mean, they've got a lot of they've got stakes in some mobile stuff as well, and also Final Fantasy 14. Like I know that's part of Final Fantasy as a whole, but like 14, I think stands on its own as like a, like a whole different kind of cash cow. Yeah, I don't know. It's like whatever they want, I guess. Like we're just gonna start getting NFT shit.
Yeah, totally.
Like they're in on it. They're ready for it.
Yeah, they're not backing down on it. This is also the same week where the producer of Balan Wonderworld, which came out a bit more than a year ago now, turns out he was suing Square Enix because they pushed the developer of the game to release it much earlier than he wanted to. They dismissed him because he wanted to put more time into the game to make sure it was finished, and they wouldn't let it happen. So they fired him.
Yeah, and not just any not that it shouldn't have happened to him specifically because of who he is, because it shouldn't happen to anyone. But specifically, this is Yuji Naka. Like this is the creator of Sonic the Hedgehog, right? Like
yeah,
it does remind you of Konami and Hideo.
Yeah, because he's coming out and he's saying, I think Square Enix are no good. I think they're no good for video games, and I think they're no good for the people who are making them.
Yeah.
And he would know. And he's only being able to say stuff like this right now because the lawsuit that he initiated is finally finished. There was a lawsuit that meant that he couldn't speak about the topic, which was a shame. So yeah, like it's such a shame because there are so many Square Enix properties that I really enjoy. I've played so many Final Fantasy games, and I'm looking forward to so many Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
And shit like this makes me wonder whether it makes me want that property in someone else's hands.
Oh, look, if the world goes as it's been going, then then suddenly Square Enix are now a lot lighter on some properties.
Totally, which means they're easier to buy.
They're a lot easier to buy. I could see Sony buying them.
Yeah.
We've said this before. We've spoken about this in the past, that we could see them buying them.
Yeah, and it might be for the best, although I think them doing this right now is a sign that they're not up for that, and I think that would only happen if their future endeavors continue to see a declining interest and profit margin for their expectations, whatever they are.
Actually, I'm not sure if Sony can buy them because of Japan's antitrust laws.
Yeah, there's something to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a weird topic. It's been a while since we've covered news on the show, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, it's been never since news has happened a few hours prior to us recording, which is good.
That's a good point. I was looking at that. Nice. I'm like, the only people seeing that are people going to bed in the main games industry.
Yeah. You had to hear first on Friday, way after everyone else has already spoken about it.
Record it first and publish it last.
Something might have happened.
Square Enix buys them back. And, you're right. Everyone pointed out how bad a deal this is. You're right. We're backing out.
Yeah.
So, talking about video games that we've played and video games that we have been playing, I've just got a couple of check-ins here, basically.
Yeah.
But one of them, during the week, I realized I never spoke about finishing Elden Ring. I spoke about finishing my work on Elden Ring, but not the game.
Yeah, I think you were more excited about that than the ending of Elden Ring.
I was. Let me tell you, I was. And then after we recorded last week, I started doing more work on Elden Ring.
Lucky you.
I know. It's different work, so I'm feeling a bit more refreshed about it, which is good. But yeah, I finished this game, right? And it's interesting. I sort of finished it, and I was going through some of the older videos that I made 2 months ago now, and looking at Margit's boss fight and the first 5 bosses to take out video I did and stuff like that. And how and I was thinking about that initial open experience of just being in Limgrave and there being so many things to do. And if you want to go further afield, you can. You can go around Stormvale, or you can go to the Weeping Peninsula, or you can go to Caelid.
Yeah.
Like there are so many hours in that opening area. It's ridiculous. More so than I think there are in the rest of the game. I think the rest of the game is a bit more sparse, whereas that first quadrant they give you is quite dense. And I think that's to its credit. It's sort of like by the time you get up to those further areas, you've been playing long enough that you know what you're doing and you can kind of go straight to where you want to go.
Yeah.
And if you really want to explore, you can. But my ending thoughts on this was that I am sad I didn't get to have the experience of discovering a lot of these things naturally, like with Radahn, for example. You know, where you have to activate the Radahn Festival to have the option to take him on as a boss, and that changes the whole area. And you do that by doing other quests or activating other like lifts and reaching new areas in the game. But I could just imagine getting to the point where they're like, "Oh, you have to wait for the festival to start," and then being like, "Oh, fucking now what?" Like
Right.
as a player, not actually knowing what to do or being told how to go to get the video done the fastest. So I do feel a little bit not cheated, but I do feel like I've missed out on something there. But that being said, I think this is From Software's, and I haven't finished most of their games. I haven't played everything to the fullest extent, but I think this is maybe their best game.
Right.
In so many ways. I do think it is more approachable. I'm not going to say accessible, but I do think it is more approachable in so many ways. There's so many more approachable ways to customize your character to be however you want. You can do Ash summons, character summons, multiplayer summons for any boss that you want to fight. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of good that can be said about this game.
And like a lot of like quality of life stuff as well.
Yeah.
You know, like the way the fast travel works is sort of like it's just a bit nicer.
Totally.
You know, like,
and like the extra
traversal,
quick inventory slots and
like sprint not using stamina when you're in combat kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like little things that just like help.
Absolutely. It's really good. I'm glad it came out. I'm glad it came out so complete. I'm glad it's getting so much support too. They're patching it so much, which is great. They're balancing it like a multiplayer game.
I think they're also adding in stuff that wasn't finished.
Yeah, they did do that in the 1.1 or 1.2 patch.
1.3 I think was one of the ones as well.
Yeah, and it added a whole new NPC and which added new steps to other NPCs' quest lines which before were just incomplete.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I think it kind of points to it coming in a little hot in some ways. But everything that needed to be rock solid was, which is great. I have no idea where it's going to be on my list by the end of the year in terms of game of the year, but
right.
It's really good. I'm glad it's here. I really like this game.
I was thinking about it the other day, because I was once again thinking about Bloodborne. I think Bloodborne is better for me.
Yep.
I think as a complete experience, there are moments that you can get in a game that isn't as open world as Elden Ring is.
Yeah.
That is like basically impossible to get in a game like that. The smaller character moments, with how open Elden Ring is, which is like extraordinarily open. Specifically directing a player is much harder. And so some stuff gets missed, which then sort of makes the special moments harder to work and frame.
Yeah, totally.
And
the people who do everything start seeing repeating bosses and palette swaps, and they get overpowered.
Yeah, like there are things that I think are that's just the way video games are sometimes. And that is, the more open it is, the less directed it is. And like that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not a bad thing. But I think for my money, a game like Bloodborne really hits different.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. It reminds me of the Breath of the Wild discussions that were happening, where it's like, oh, I miss traditional dungeons, and I miss the way the world like connects to like the Goron Valley and
That's like that. That's me. Like, you know, for me, the best Zelda game I've ever played still is Link to the Past.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the way that world connects, that's amazing in that one. Yeah. I also finished Arkham Knight. I don't really feel like I have too much more to say about this one since last week. I played most of the game by last week.
Yeah.
This game's weird.
Yeah.
So uneven.
Yeah, it's like I said, a solid 7.
Yeah.
It
functions. That's what we said last week. Like, I think its best asset is its story. Like, they tell an interesting story with Joker and with Batman and with Scarecrow.
Yeah, I think the same.
And like that's what was pulling me through, honestly. And so I got to the end, and they were like, spoilers for Arkham Knight, everyone, for the actual ending. Everyone ready? Here they come. You know, Batman has to reveal that he's Bruce Wayne, right? And then he gets super gassed. He gets injected with Scarecrow's venom, which turns his brain into Joker brain.
Yeah, he gets Joker-fied.
And then he's the Joker.
Yeah,
and then Scarecrow doses him again. With like
Bruce Wayne gets on stage and says, "I'm turning into the Joker. I'm going to become the Joker."
And so then the Joker gets injected again with a serum. And so then he gets like, he has to deal with his worst fears, which is Batman. So then Bruce Wayne becomes Bruce Wayne again because he like locks away the Joker with the Joker's own fear, and then he becomes immune to the toxin. I don't know, it's weird. And then, I don't know, it all goes well and it's fine. And then the end is like, oh, wow, this is it. And Batman's like, this is the only way to keep everyone safe. And then you take Scarecrow to GCPD and they're like, I'm just going to keep calling you Batman if that's all right with you. And then he calls Alfred and he's like, all right, that's it. Still got a city to save, though, for one more night. And then it shows you every objective you haven't completed yet.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah,
I'm not doing this. And then they're like, once that's complete, we can initiate Operation Nightfall, as in like KN Night.
Yeah, Nightfall.
As in Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Dark Knight.
Do you want to know what happens?
I looked it up because I was not going to do the Riddler trophies, which is what it needed me to do to get that ending.
Yeah.
What happens? He flies his plane to Wayne Manor where all the journalists are, and he closes the door and the building blows up.
Yeah.
And then there's a thing that happens after that where someone is where a couple and their young son are being robbed in a back alley, and they rip off the lady's pearls. And then there's someone on the roof and they're like, hey, you're not Batman, Batman's dead. And then like flames appear, and then this like ghoul version of Batman goes like rah at the camera, and then that's the end.
Yeah,
like,
that's
what?
That's Jason.
Oh.
He's fully transitioned from being the Arkham Knight to Red Hood.
Red Hood. It doesn't look like Red Hood. It looks very Batman-y.
There's other pictures of him as Red Hood.
Yeah, no, like, and like his final outfit, like you kind of, when you're fighting him, you kind of smash his head, and like the fake bat mask comes off, and he's got this like techno red mask, and it's like, oh yeah, you kind of Red Hoodie.
Yeah.
But yeah, weird game. He becomes like, the Arkham Knight becomes quite the afterthought once he's revealed.
Bit, yeah.
Not the worst thing, because like I said, I saw it coming last week. I was right.
I think it's worth you loading up the game one more time, going into one of like the challenge fight missions, and playing as Arkham Knight.
Oh yeah,
because you just kill people with machine guns.
Oh really? That's funny.
Because he's just got guns.
Yep. I may have already uninstalled it.
Yeah. Oh well. It's funny.
Yeah. Glad I played it. Glad it's done.
Yeah.
I'm also checking with Persona 5, and I didn't think I'd bring it up this week, but we got to a point in the game and I've been playing it a bit more with Sam specifically, like, because it kind of goes in waves with this game where you're doing a lot of combat, encounter heavy stuff, and then you're doing a lot of story exposition and days at school and days, summer
Days
break
gone.
and stuff like that. Exactly. The days go by. But sometimes you're sitting there, like, it's kind of like the JRPG version of watching a cutscene in a Kojima game, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, next day, 20 minutes of cutscene. The next day is 20 minutes of cutscene. The next day is 20 minutes of cutscene. And like, loving it. Like, it's great. I'm so in with all these characters now. We've got so many of them. The group is so large, and it's getting larger. But I was sitting there, and stuff's happening on screen, and I'll say what it was in a minute. And I'm sitting there racking my brain. I'm like, was it this game where I heard about this issue, or was it Fire Emblem? And the issue I'm talking about is queer baiting.
Right.
Because and I think it's both. I think both is the answer to this question, where queer baiting was specifically called out as like a problem for these games, whereas like definitively a part of the game. But there's like just a couple of times where they say something and it's like, that was so gay. Like the interaction that was just on screen just then was so gay.
Yeah.
And like, not bad, but Jeff definitely like, I know this game and I know it's not going to go there.
Yeah.
So I know this is all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was sitting there racking my brain. I'm pretty sure it's both. And I'm bringing it up here because I kind of want your confirmation in case you remember any criticisms for either of these in both regard.
I don't remember. Both of those games, even though I own both of them, I haven't played either of them. I wasn't super closely following them when they were coming out.
Yeah, there's one of them. I want to say it was Fire Emblem, where there was critique online when like you could follow through the sort of the chain of missions, of like confidant missions, and then at the very end, like like the two people are really chummy and like the same gender, and then it gets to like the final like decision to make, like, oh, I'm interested in you that way, and the resolution is, wow, you're my best friend. Thanks so much for supporting me. I hope and it's like, oh, guys. So yeah, it was like Sam and I were reading some of the stuff they were talking about in the game. Like, it's this point where one of your cohort is from a different school, and it's like, oh, I've heard you've got a counselor at your school. I've been intrigued to go and see this person since you told me about him. I'm like, that's a really weird thing to say, but all right, whatever. You're kind of a weird person. That's fine.
Right.
And so there's this school festival, and everyone leaves except this other student, Yusuke. And he finds the counselor, and he's an artist, and he's a bit socially inept. And he goes up to the counselor. He's like, please help me unshackle, and see into the depths of the heart. And the counselor's like, I don't think you really understand what it is I do here. And so he's like, oh, I know. Why don't I counsel you? Because I can't really tell you about someone else's session. And so Yusuke's like, okay, fine. We'll have a head-to-head then. And then Sam and I just kind of look at each other, like, because it's just going so strong and it's just going so strange. and then they talk more and it gets a bit more diffused, and I don't know. But there was just so many points where it hadn't really happened at all throughout the rest of the game up until that point.
Right.
And then within the space of an hour, there was probably 3 or 4 instances of like, did they really just do that?
Yeah. Great.
And it's Atlas. I don't trust Atlas like half as far as I could throw them.
No, you shouldn't.
So yeah.
Especially after Catherine.
Especially after Catherine and Full Body.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, just wanted to bring that up. That's our Persona 5 update. I love how big the group is getting. Like,
yeah.
It's to the point now we've got 8 people in the party, and the 10th one, who's the royal exclusive one, we've like met, and like I know that she's coming at some point, but not yet. And then the final base game one is like right around the corner, and they're signposting it really heavily, so we can like see the pieces being laid out in front of us. But it's so cool when they get together. And it used to be when someone says something surprising, they get like an exclamation mark above their heads. But now there's like 8 people sitting around a table, and then they get surprised by something, and then the screen is just like filled with punctuation marks.
That's cool.
But I like it because I don't feel like I'm losing anyone in the crowd. Right. Like, I still feel like everyone's really individualized and really realized, I guess I should say. And they're fun to listen to, and they're fun to see the interactions, and they each talk to each other very differently. They've done a really good job with it in that regard. And then also I've been playing Final Fantasy XII.
God, Kerry.
We were talking about our backlog, and you said drop everything and pick up Disco Elysium.
Yeah, you decided to play like three, like two mediocre games.
Yep. None of them more current than 2015. Although Final Fantasy XII came out in originally 2006.
Well, let's get into it. What's the most interesting thing that happened to you in Final Fantasy XII, Kerry?
The most interesting thing that happened to me in Final Fantasy XII is I was thrown into a save that I hadn't touched in more than 2 years when I looked at the dates on it, and I was like, "Sheesh, okay." Didn't realize it had been quite that long. And I couldn't remember anything that was happening, and I remembered there was a bunch of terms that I was barely keeping up with when I was playing the game. And so I just went for it. And what I realized what I remembered doing when I was playing it originally was not using the fast forward button.
Why?
Because there's an L1 button, and it turns it to double or quadruple speed at your discretion.
Why are you not using it?
I was using it sometimes, but I was primarily using it normally, right? I wanted the real Final Fantasy XII experience that I'd never finished when I was younger.
This is like when I wanted to watch Dragon Ball Z, so I decided to watch the entirety of Dragon Ball first.
Yeah, and then that was like all you got through in the end, wasn't it? Just Dragon Ball?
No, I ended up getting into some DBZ, but it was years later.
So I start up the game this time around, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time for any of that shit. It is on quadruple speed 75% of the time, and I am breezing through encounters, and it is making me realize two things. One, this game is far too long. Two, this game has not enough. It doesn't have anywhere near enough substance in between cutscenes and bits of dialogue, and a lot of it is quite fetch questy. It's like, oh, we've been told to go to this ancient city.
Yeah.
And it takes you 3 hours of non-sped up gameplay to get there.
Yeah.
And also your characters level up kind of slowly, so you might need to do some grinding along the way.
Yes.
And some of the puzzles are actually really obtuse, so you might be looking up how to do the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get there, and you get a decent cutscene, 5 or 10 minutes, and they're like, "Great, we need to go to this other hidden city," and that's going to take you another 20 minutes to get there, and it's going to be really confusing, and you're not going to know where to go. My cat wants to get up.
Nice. That sounds.
Go and let her out.
That sounds good.
It's a little much, but with the quadruple speed button on most of the time. My cat just jumped into the cupboard. It was very impressive. With the quadruple speed button pressed most of the time, it's actually quite bearable. And I've actually been quite enjoying just breezing through it, just going and going and going. And I'm sitting there and I'm realizing that this game was such a single player reaction to the MMO boom that had happened a couple of years prior. Just the walk up to enemies and everyone starts attacking, and then you walk up to enemies and everyone starts attacking, and you kind of want to grind. And also it's more of an RPG in terms of equipment than any other Final Fantasy game I've noticed before, because you've got stuff like your right hand and left hand, and so all of a sudden weapons are two-handed, or they're one-handed and you can use a shield, or you can dual wield. That's the kind of customization I feel like you only see in Elden Ring or Skyrim, or not even The Witcher you get that amount of customization, because Geralt's got his two swords and that's his thing. And so it's this really weird conglomeration. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, not many people said this was a bad game. A lot of people said, "Oh, this isn't for me," or "Oh, I stopped playing eventually." But it surprises me that people disliked 13 more than they disliked this one, because this one I feel like misses a lot of what I enjoy from Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy 13. The audio quality on the cutscenes feels really low in comparison to Final Fantasy X, even, which had come out years prior. This one feels like a real oddball game. It's so strange.
But do you know much about Final Fantasy XI?
Yeah, the online one for PS2. And it was on PC, I think, as well. It did okay.
Yeah, but isn't that quite similar? I know it's not party based, I don't think, but it's like it's similar. The kind of like you walk up to an enemy and auto attacks and stuff like that.
I mean, 11 is actually an MMO.
Yeah. You see how they would sort of borrow some design.
Yeah, but I don't think it belongs in this single player environment. Like, regardless of whether they made, let's say they never made 11. Let's say this one was 11 after 10, but they were still trying to respond to World of Warcraft. Like, I can still see this being a response to that. And I still think it's weird. Like, with Final Fantasy 11 and 14 are there, and they are valid, and they are their own Final Fantasy games. But for someone like me who enjoys the single player JRPG, they are basically distinct. Like, they're in their own track. They're completely separate to me. So, like, even if they were borrowing things from that design, like, I still don't think it has I don't think it helps the game. I think it hurts it overall.
Right.
Yeah. It's weird. It's a weird game. I'm going to enjoy finishing it. I think I might be close. I'm either close or I'm halfway. And if I'm halfway, I'm probably not going to get to the end. But
right. Yeah.
It's a good do nothing game.
Cool.
So that's it, Jeremy. That's I thought it was interesting how MMO like it was.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's interesting.
I believe you. Jeremy, tell me about Katamari.
So, Katamari...
What the fuck? Have you been working on that this whole time?
No, I had that ready for hours now.
For audio listeners, Jeremy has overlaid... What is that? Is that... I don't know the character names.
Cousin or something. The character you play, the Katamari character that you play.
Yeah, there is a character overlay on top of Jeremy's face on the video.
It's very good. So last night I was working on. Anybody that's watching the video can see everything that is around the video background behind me, the frames. I redesigned the Minimap logo, which is not something I thought I was going to do this week.
You created a whole background moving image. Like, there's so much stuff going. Like, it needs to be said while you're saying this. Sorry, I have interrupted you, but you've done a crap ton of work, and it looks excellent. And I appreciate what you've done for this a lot. Pardon?
It was done very quickly. It shocked me how quickly it sort of came together, which I'm glad about. I wasn't toiling away not knowing why it wasn't coming together. I sort of just tried stuff and then it like fell into place, which is great. It makes my life so much easier when that happens. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I did, and I don't know how I did it, but I got there. It got to, I think I stopped at about 9:30 last night. And I was messaging you.
You sent me a message saying, okay, no more work.
Yeah.
And I've been telling you to like go easy on the work this week because you've been going hard.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, no more work. It was late. I wanted to just not work. And because I had my money making job today. And I was like, well, I need to sort of chill out a little bit. And I was like, shit, I didn't play anything this week. I didn't touch a video game.
Yeah, man.
For like the first time in a very long time. I haven't played a single video game all week.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, well, that's not the worst thing in the world, because what I'm, instead of bringing to the podcast instead of discussion, would be the things that you are seeing, which in my mind was worth it. And I still think that's not invalid. However, I did think for a moment, like, I wonder if there's anything I can play just for like a couple hours, see how I go. And I was looking through my list of games, and there's a couple here and there. Like, I played a little bit of Vampire Survivors, and I was like, yeah, but like I've spoken about that, and I don't really anything to say. Some other stuff. I was looking through Game Pass. It's like, oh, I found it. I found the one thing that I could play right now that is just going to be what I need. And that is Katamari Damacy Reroll, which is a remake of the first game.
I've seen that there a number of times and been like, I think I'd love this game.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like the right time yet.
Yeah. It was the right time. It was almost unpacking. But unpacking is like a bit more like I have to be in it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Katamari, it's just all about It's just about feeling. So I was taking a little bit of notes, but I was getting a little bit tired. There was a couple of things that interested me while I was playing. I've played a Katamari game before. I played the one on the Vita, which I think is Katamari Forever, I think is what it's called. That might be a PS3 one. I don't remember which one it is. There was two things that really fascinated me about this game. One, I think Katamari might be like the perfect video game.
Whoa.
and
really? All right.
And I'm not saying that Katamari is a perfect video game, because I don't think it is.
Okay.
There are some things that it's a little bit clunky at times. It's like sometimes the character models are a bit like they don't quite fit, and like the story's a bit weird, and King Cosmos has got like a giant dick for some reason. like a David Bowie bulge. Like it's like really prominent. It's very odd. In a game like Katamari. But
some people that they've just got him, you know.
I mean, look, they don't call him the king for nothing. Why I think this might be the perfect video game is that it is full of joy. Its music fucking rips, and it's just about doing like a single thing. It is just about rolling the ball and getting bigger. The number goes up, which is very important to all good video games. But you see the progression. It is just about consuming and getting bigger while extraordinarily beautiful music is playing. The world is bright and colorful and silly and funny. And then the timer stops and you make a star. And then you do it all again. It's a wonderful game. I beat it in one sitting.
Whoa,
it's
really?
Not long. It's not that long. It's like I did like 10 levels. I played it for actually longer than I should have. I played for like 4.5 hours, which means that I went to bed at like 2:30 a.m. But like, there's a bunch of optional levels, and then there's like the mainline levels. I did all the mainline levels and about 2 optional ones. It is just so delightful. It is so whimsical. There was I looked at my notes. There is a single note that I wrote, which I think is why I was so taken aback by this game, because you start off quite small, especially in some of the levels where you might start off as a 20 centimeter size ball, and you're rolling around picking up coins, picking up thumbtacks, cockroaches, ants, lint, paperclip. Then you get bigger into pencils and stuff, and you get a little bit bigger. You go into like a book, CD. Then you can go into like a chair, up and up and up, until eventually you're rolling up skyscrapers.
Yep.
And that's the game. But what is amazing is that like you remember the place where you started, and then suddenly you are rolling up way more than you could have even seen back then. But they do it so flawlessly. They do a wonderful job of making it feel natural. And you don't realize the things you're on. Like, you don't think about like the floorboards that you're on, or the bricks that are in part of the wall, or the table that you're rolling on while you're trying to collect coins. But later on, you're going to be rolling up that table and everything that's on it. And then everything that's on top of that, and everything that's like surrounding that and surrounding that. My one note here says, being bigger than the bridges we cross.
Being bigger than the bridges we cross.
Yes. That was a 1:30 a.m. note, but it was interesting to me.
Philosophical.
It is, because I remember there's a part where there's like 2 islands that I've got a bridge across them, and I was rolling over the bridge to get across to the other island and picking up a bunch of stuff, and then I rolled across the bridge back, picked up more stuff along the bridge, and then picked up some stuff on the first island again, and then I got to the point where I just picked up the bridge, and I was like, oh, video games are good. Video games are good, actually. Katamari is good. So yeah. Everybody that's out there listening or watching, treat yourself. It's a good day. listen to the Katamari soundtrack.
Oh, the Katamari soundtrack.
So good.
Interesting.
So fucking good. I listened to it today at work as well.
Yeah.
Just the best.
Did it suit?
Always.
Jeremy, there's a game that I've owned on Steam for long time. Like, it was one of the first games I got that wasn't the orange box on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
It's from Dejoban Games. Do you know this developer?
I do not.
Dejoban Games. Let's see. Browse here. They made... Did you ever play the game?
Sorry, I'm still laughing at the head that is around.
At the head, yeah.
I have
Yeah, it's like a base jumping game.
I don't know if I've played it.
You like jump off skyscrapers that are hovering above. And
you
fall through rings and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That came out September 2009. Before that, they came out with a game called The Wonderful End of the World, and I own this game as well. This game is Katamari.
Right.
It's you start small, you pick up things, you get bigger, you pick up the bigger things. And I didn't realize how much of a ripoff it was until you said all of that. I'm like, I've played this game.
It amazes me that there is not a million Katamari games.
Mm.
It is maybe the ultimate video game.
It is the perfect video game and the ultimate video game.
Yes. And you could have Katamari Lego. You could have Katamari you could have Star Wars Katamari. You could have Lord of the Rings Katamari.
Oh my god, you
Disneyland
actually could,
Katamari.
Though. You imagine Katamari in space? That'd be sick.
There is endless possibilities. I don't know why they haven't continued to make more. I mean, like, they still make more Katamari Damacy games, but like more.
Yeah.
You could have so many Katamari games.
Yeah, this could be like the Fortnite of roll 'em ups.
This is so dumb. I'm so glad we decided to do a video podcast.
Me too. I mean, we've thought of random things we could do as bits for a little while now. And this is a good one. It's very on brand for like your stream as well.
Yeah. Put shit in front of my face as a joke.
Yeah, totally. Just PNGs. Just stick it on top. I'll bring up the preview you've got of the stream so I can see the recording. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go back to single camera now so I can look at you. And then I click on me. And I'm like, I get scared by myself. Right. Well, we're going to have a break. We're going to have a break. And when we come back, what we're going to talk about is the games that came out in 2006 and what our games of the year would have been then. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the MiniMapCast. Am I frozen?
That was weird.
On this?
I don't know
what was up with that?
I don't know. It's fine.
I could do my really silly voice with this microphone arm, put it really close to the microphone. Jeremy grimaces more and more. No, don't take us away. Bring me back. Bring me back, Jeremy.
Visual humor.
Visual humor. Jeremy cut away from the screen to get rid of my face. And his too. We were listening to all sorts of things in that break. The Katamari Damacy soundtrack, which was absolutely just like stinking good. Like so good.
Mm-hmm.
Holy hell. Like so good. Also some Frank Zappa, which was
also so good.
Very educational. And now we're going to talk about best games that came out in 2006. The game, our game of the year for 2006.
Yeah. Now I know what you might be thinking. Why 2006? Would you like the answer, Kerry?
Jeremy, why 2006?
I don't know. When I suggested that we do a game of the year for a year that is not even close to the current year, that is just that is the year that my thumbs decided to type.
I like you didn't pick one of those like God release years, when people are like, oh, 2007, best year in video games, or like, oh, 2011, best year in video games. Like, I'm glad you didn't pick one of those.
There's another universe where I did, because like
Sure.
I said, I didn't actually know what year I was choosing. I didn't know what games came out in 2006 off the top of my head.
And like at the same time, there's a good chance we will get to those as well. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But I like that we're just in this, let's pick this moment in time and see what we come up with. So we're going to go down like our top 3 picks from here, but I'm going to run down a list of other games that I didn't play or didn't enjoy as much, that didn't make my top 3. And it's also going to be games that I've heard of since, that it's like, oh, these are the games that came out that year. Here's the context for it.
Like Gun.
Gun. I did see the PSP version. Did the actual version of Gun?
I believe so.
Come out
I could be wrong, but I believe so.
Oh, should I look it up?
Well, Gun was a PS3 game, wasn't it?
Even if I look up Gun game, like that's not.
That's Call of Duty.
Yeah. Gun release date 2005.
Oh, okay.
5th of November 2005. Yep. Damn, shame we can't talk about Gun in this episode. We'll have to wait for the 2005 Game of the Year discussion, everyone.
Went off half cocked.
Classic Jeremy.
Yeah.
So games that aren't in my top 3, and I realize I run the risk of saying some games that might be in yours, but there was one that I knew would be, and I haven't put that in here, so that'll be a surprise for everyone. But other games that I've got here, just to give the context, a game we've already spoken about on this show, Final Fantasy XII, came out in 2006.
Right, this episode. Right.
Yeah, this episode. What do you think I was going to say?
I don't want to spoil it because I know it's going to be on your list.
Oh, okay. We'll see. Final Fantasy XII. Oh, did I really not put this in my list? Oh, I'm gonna chuck that in there and do a quick rearrange. Also, Wii Sports, because obviously the Wii came out that year. Need for Speed Carbon.
Yeah,
Battlefield 20.
I think maybe I need to really give just a tiny bit of context to what 2006 was, because it was a while ago and it's hard to remember what year that was.
Oh, what, in terms of like consoles? And
yeah, just like, so 2006 included the announcement that Intel were going to begin developing the Core processors. So Intel Core began in 2006. To really throw you back.
I'm really glad. Sorry, you're right. I forgot how important 2006 was for Intel.
It was. The first
That
MacBook.
was the last time we spoke about Intel on this show.
I don't know.
Okay, sorry,
Maybe
go
never. What? The MacBook Pro. What?
I thought you were going to talk about video games.
I'm talking about technology. This is all related.
Okay. All right, cool.
God,
I'm on the
give
same
me a
page.
break.
Sorry.
The PS3 was released
Oh.
in November, and then a week later, the Wii was released.
Wow, is that a week later?
A week later.
What was AMD doing?
I don't know. What was on my list? 2006, the year of the year of the execution of Saddam Hussein.
It's not funny.
And finally,
Finally.
Amiga OS 4 was released.
What the fuck is that?
It's an operating system.
For what?
The Like for Amiga 1 users.
What? Okay. It's not. It's not that funny.
I just wanted to transport you back in time a little bit. You know.
Now we all know where we were in 2006.
Kerry, where were you when Intel released the Core brand?
I heard stop. Oh my god. I haven't laughed this hard on the podcast.
It's only been 3 weeks because last time we laughed this on the podcast is when I was talking about Skype for Business on the Wii U.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Good lord. It is going to take me a while to recover from. Okay, now that we've all reoriented ourselves back with the versions of ourselves that are 16 years younger.
Yeah. Where
thanks to the Amiga operating system.
I can give you some more 2006 facts if you'd like. I've got plenty more. In October 2006, WikiLeaks was founded.
Okay.
Do you remember where you were when WikiLeaks was founded?
Pardon? Was I there? No. Yeah. I was at school. I was 11.
That was the 2006 Winter Olympics.
Yep, that makes sense. Where was that one?
Turin in Italy.
Oh, they have winter there?
Yeah.
Wow.
They do.
Okay. Let's get back to the game.
The moment I saw your eyes just go, oh no, when I brought up the execution of Saddam Hussein. Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Let's get back to it. Tell me about the games that came out in 2006.
All right, just going to go over the like 3 I got through. We got Final Fantasy XII, Wii Sports, Need for Speed Carbon. Battlefield 2142. Have you heard of this game?
Yeah.
Yeah. I desperately wanted to buy and play this game, but I didn't have anything I could run it at the time. It sounded so cool. Futuristic Battlefield sounded so cool. Apparently it was fine. I never got to play it. Didn't really last that long. Wasn't really that well loved.
No.
But man, little 11-year-old me was so keen. Those are ones that I knew stuff about. But other ones that I like recognized was Trauma Center on the Wii, which was that game where you have to like use the Wii remote to like stitch patients together and like do surgeries and stuff like that. And the reason that one caught my eye is because I played like Flash. Yeah.
Because the Wii came out in November of 2006.
It sure did. This was one of the launch games, I think.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And it was like I played a Flash game that was really like it, and so I was like, oh, maybe that'd be interesting, but like, no, I never got to it. It was pretty intense. It's apparently there was a DS title first, so this was the Wii version.
Right.
So keep that in mind. It probably wasn't the first Trauma Center. Also, I saw this. I couldn't help but mention it. Did you know they put the Age of Empires, the first game, on DS?
I didn't know that.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
I can't fathom wanting to play that game like that, but you know,
neither can I.
Go get it if you want it. Star Fox Command, Yakuza, the first game.
Right. Okay.
The first Just Cause.
Right.
Bionicle Heroes.
Good game. Probably not.
Bionicle Heroes on PlayStation 2, Game Boy Advance, Microsoft Windows, Xbox 360, GameCube, Wii, and Nintendo DS.
Yeah, that's the one. Third-person shooter.
I never played it, but I put that one in there for us. I like Bionicles, but you especially.
Yeah. The other day I was at work and we're in a video meeting, and my video meeting, like the background that gets generated behind me, I've got is like a bunch of Bionicles, and so it sort of looks like I'm one of them, like in like a line.
Of course.
And one of my coworkers was next to me and goes, "Oh shit, are those Bionicles?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, they are." And he's also supposed to be in that meeting, but he was in our area, so he just joined via just sitting next to me on my laptop, and he was on the other ones. He's like, "Oh, cool, I'm the ice one." And I looked at him and I was like, "Yeah, you're Kopaka." And he was like, "Why do you know that?" And I'm like,
Well, I mean, you're the one who's got the background there in the first place. Like, It's not there for no reason, buddy.
Yeah.
Why do you know that? Why? Next time you're at work, you need to ask that person where he was when the Amiga 1? When the Amiga 1 was released.
I don't know, I closed the tab.
Other games that came out during that time. We've got the first Gears of War game. That was a big deal when that came out. I remember posters all over the train station. And that was a big, big, big deal. And I was far too young to even begin to think about playing that game.
Yeah.
Same. Although that's a whole other conversation. The first brain training game, although it had been out in 2005 in Japan, came to North America in 2006, and then all other regions later as well, obviously. First brain training game.
They're good games.
I never played one, but they were huge, and I know you've got your history with them and your mum as well.
Yep.
Okami, which I've never played. I've heard it's a great Zelda-like. It's been on like every platform that came out 10 years after that it came out on.
Yeah, it's it's very long, which is why I've never finished it, but started it like 7 times. Right,
okay. And then the final list in my like context tab is Elite Beat Agents. Have you ever played that game, Jeremy?
So
that game, it's kind of like it's a rhythm game on DS. It was really cool. It's the kind of one where it's like you have to press the circles as they come up on the screen, like 1, 2, 3, and then like the third one would maybe be like hold and trace the line over to the left side of the screen, and it would always be in time with the music. So there were really cool tracks, great animations on the top screen, and then you were always tapping in time. It was really well liked. I played it on someone's like hacked DS at a summer camp, my family's summer camp, and there was like a community of people that people knew from work and their kids.
Right.
And this person had it, and I played it there, and it was sick. And that's all I know of Elite Beat Agents, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it since then, and it came out in 2006.
I've not played it, no.
Along with the Amiga 1.
Amiga 1 OS, thank you.
Amiga 1 OS, sorry. Amiga 1 OS. Jeremy, do you want me to start, or shall you start with your first top 3 one?
I'll start with my number 3. They are ordered.
Oh, okay. I don't have mine in any order, but
that's fine.
I'm glad you do.
I just happened to know what mine were.
Great.
Number 3, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl.
Fuck, you kidding? No. I don't think so, Jeremy.
Is that wrong?
I think that's 2007. Oh. No. Google, don't tell me I'm wrong. That's impossible. Okay, so it came out in Japan in 2006.
Right, that would be why it's on the Wikipedia page I was looking at.
Yeah, and then North America AU, it came out after that, 2007. You're not wrong. I'm going to let you have it.
All right, yeah. Let's just say, and I did do this for at least one of them, I would have imported it and then downloaded a fan translation.
Oh, interesting.
Well, like not imported, but like downloaded it and then got a fan translation to play.
I have a similar story regarding specifically these games, but do your bit first and come back to me.
Oh, just like I think that they were the last good Pokemon games. That's not true. That's not true. I think it was the last best ones, like specifically Platinum after the fact, but like sure. Diamond and Pearl like were the last of what I think about as like really like the classic style Pokemon games. The other ones like they went in places like Black and White would probably be part of that, but I think that one just wasn't really super popular.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange departure. And I agree. It kind of hasn't really hit that, at least with my sphere and my enjoyment since then.
Like, I know, like, my old housemate, like, swears black and white about it. That, like, it's one of the best Pokemon games. Story-wise and everything. But, like, the ones after, you know, like, they moved into 3D a lot more, and then they did, like, Mega Evolutions, and it sort of started to get a little bit gimmicky.
Yeah, totally. A bit unwieldy.
Yeah, but yeah, Diamond and Pearl, also my first Pokemon games that I, like, bought as myself. Like, they were mine. I've spoken about Diamond and Pearl in the past. So.
Yeah, like all three of us have. Like June as well. That generation is important to all of us. I had a friend of mine who, and so looking at this, I can see why I would want this. It came out in North America 2 months before it came out in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine was going to America in that 2 months, and he was like, "Hey, like if you give me some money, I can buy you a copy when I'm over there. And when I come back and give you a copy, we can start playing it early." And we did that. He got Pearl, I got Diamond. I eventually lost that copy, which was a shame. But then when I bought a new one to replace it, it was still an American copy, which I was really happy with.
It might be the same one. You never know.
That would be upsetting.
Well, I mean, in terms of, like, you lost it somewhere and then someone else found it, played it a bunch, and then traded it in, and then you bought it.
I don't think it would be, because, like, the second one I got had the case, but I still had the case for the first one.
Look, sometimes life just happens like that, you know?
Well, life finds a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I imported that game.
What's yours?
That's a good point. Let's see. One of the first ones I got up here on my list. Oh, there was a fourth one. I'm bumping Burnout Revenge. Burnout Revenge, I love you. But I've had to bump you for Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy. Is that on your list, Jeremy?
No, it's not. But I did heavily consider it.
Yep,
it's very good.
Yep. It's magnificent. Not only because, like, it's the original, like, it's Lego Star Wars. It's some of the original Lego games, which are all great. But the iterations on the first Lego Star Wars game were really good. The different characters and it felt just a bit smoother, just a bit cleaner. And there was a lot to do. I just remember really enjoying this one. I've got a story about Lego Star Wars 2. I was playing it pretty. It was the day we bought it. Came home, and I was getting ready to play it, and we walked into the kitchen, and at my mum's house, the backyard, the back door, the back wall basically is a lot of windows. You can see a lot of the backyard through the kitchen, which is a pretty large open plan. Blah 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 whatever. And our neighbor's tree had fallen down on our fence, and I was like the first through the door, and like our bird was there. I don't think we had a dog yet. I walked out there and I was like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "What?" I'm like, "The tree fell down." They're like, "What?" And so that night was me sitting there playing Star Wars until the SES came and like took a chainsaw to the tree and cleared it out and took it out. And I'd like play, and then I'd go look, and people like standing around. There were floodlights in the backyard, and then I got bored and I went and played some more. And that's my fondest memory of that game. I played it a lot. I played it with lots of different people with different times, and I played free play and all of that. But my fondest memory is playing it when there was a tree falling down in my yard.
Oh, look, you create the memories based around what's happening around you in very specific moments. You know, it's all part of it.
Yeah, that was a great Friday night.
My number 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team.
Oh, why didn't I see that on my list? I'm going to fact check you on this one as well.
I did just look that one up. Australian release date was 2006.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I just like I've also once again spoken about this game at length in the past, but like it is a very, very wonderful story with excellent characters, and it was the first of that series. And like I can still play through that whole game and still get a little bit misty-eyed at the end when it gets very sad. And and it was also the first Pokemon game I ever played. It was my introduction to Pokemon video game wise.
Had you watched the cartoon before that?
I'd seen some of the cartoon, yeah. So I knew some of the Pokemon, but I didn't know many because, like, you know, like you
weren't in it.
Yeah, you don't have a Pokedex in fucking the cartoon.
Yeah.
To like look through and stuff, and you don't have a Pokedex in Blue Risky Team either, but you have at least characters you can keep going back and forth to. So.
Yep, totally. What's my second one here? One I got written down here, and this isn't one I owned, but I played a whole lot of, is Guitar Hero 2. Soundtrack for this game is unreal, and like it's got some in there that I'm not that familiar with, but like there are some that I'm introduced to because of this game, and some that like I only know because of this game, which is pretty classic Guitar Hero, that are so good and were specifically so fun to play in this one as well. Like Cherry Pie was really good, and like Carry On My Wayward Son, Freebird is on there. Like
these are all good songs.
So many good ones, to the point, and I never got to play this, but I really wanted to get Guitar Hero Greatest Hits for the Wii, because what they did with that one was they brought in songs from like Guitar Hero 1, 2, and then like Aerosmith 1 and the ones in between that didn't have full band support, and they brought in some of the greatest hits of those, updated the guitar tracks, gave them a bass track, a drum track, and a vocal track when applicable, and then brought them to modern systems. And I wanted to do that because a lot of the really good ones from Guitar Hero 2 were on there. But that's the first Guitar Hero game I played. My, at the time, stepsister's boyfriend brought it over. We played it like all weekend, and I remember getting better at it and seeing when my stepsister was doing what with it, and it was like, oh, you got to the end. Oh, you're trying hard now. I can't handle that fourth note. How do you do that? Like, you can only learn Guitar Hero once, I feel like.
Yeah.
And that was a really, really, really fun time.
Yep. Cool. That's a good one. My number one, you know what it is.
I know what this is. This one I did see on the list, and it was one I saw. I was like, oh, I can't say this. I got to let Jeremy say this.
Yeah. It's Gun. No, it's
2005, Jeremy.
It is Kingdom Hearts 2. It's like it was for a long time my favorite game of all time. It still battles Shadow of the Colossus. It still battles Bloodborne. Playing through it again last year or the year before, I still think it holds up incredibly well. Like the feeling of it, I think, is like still really wonderful. And you know what? It's you can draw a direct line from that game to Final Fantasy VII Remake. It is just like it's. I play those games the exact same way. They feel like a successing to me. So yeah, I don't know. Like I think that game was and still is the best in the Kingdom Hearts franchise.
I was going to ask you that.
And I don't know. Like I think about that game quite a bit in terms of like where the story goes, where it ends, and the character moments in that game. And I think that they're all really really high class, high quality stuff. It's all like I think that game is probably like a 9.5 out of 10 for me, I think.
Wow. Right.
And like the only like half stuff is like there's some fluff around that is like optional, but like not great. And there's like a couple like bits here and there, but I think for the most part, I think it's a 9.5 out of 10 for me.
That's awesome. Yeah. I saw that there. I was like, oh, this is on Jeremy's list. Did you get it when it came out? I think we spoke about this like a month ago when we did the anniversary, but like...
I think I either got it that Christmas or the Christmas after.
Right. Because it
would have been...
I remember like you played one right before 2 came out or something like that, and so like you were ready for 2?
Yeah, I might have... Maybe I did buy it that year. I don't remember when it was. I remember I got it for Christmas, but I don't remember what Christmas it was. But yeah, I played 1, I think, the year prior.
Yeah, cool. So it was you were fairly contemporary with it.
Yes, yeah.
How old would you have been? Like 8, 9?
9.
Yeah. Prime time. It was funny how everywhere that game was. I just saw the cover of it everywhere, and it always confused me. I'm like, why is Mickey Mouse here? Like, it's such a dramatic cover with them all staring off into the different parts of the night sky, and fucking Goofy's there.
Yeah.
So then the one that's on my list, on the top of my list, do you know what this one might... What?
Yes, I know what this is.
What is it?
Go on. You want me to guess?
Yeah, I reckon... tell me.
Aragon.
Was Aragon 2006?
I'm pretty sure it was, buddy.
Aragon, the movie, the game. When did you come out? Video game. From the 2006 movie. It was 2006! Yes! Fuck you, Twilight Princess! Aragon, the video game. Let me tell you about this Christmas when I got this game after seeing this movie that I didn't like that much based on the books that I love to this day. This game, well, I'll tell you what happened. I was at my relative... You really opened the can of worms here. I was at my relatives for the Christmas. I was at my uncle's and his kids, my cousins. And they always want to watch the Boxing Day cricket match. And it was raining in Melbourne when we were doing that. It wasn't raining where we were in New South Wales. And so it would rain and the match would get cancelled. And my cousin would be like, you want to play more of this game you got yesterday? I'm like, okay. And we cannonballed the whole thing in a day. And then I went on to like 100% that game on my own many times afterwards. That game rules. Hang on, what's this line here? The game was generally received poorly by critics. Combined sales in North America were over 400,000 copies.
Oh, dear, oh dear.
Thank you for bringing that up. Developed by Stormfront Studios. What are they doing these days? Nothing. Defunct March 31, 2007. Amazing. No, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is one I had written down here. Thank you for filling in that gap of mine, though, Jeremy. Sneaking in an honorable mention. Twilight Princess, when the Wii came out, was a really interesting time because it was up until 2020. This had been the most scarce and most highly sought after console that I'd experienced, I'd been a part of. Everything before that, I was either coming too late, so it didn't matter, or it didn't have quite this high demand. But this, the Wii was it. Everyone wanted the Wii. Like, it was ridiculous. And so on Christmas, they were like, hey, we've got you a Wii on pre-order. And then when it came over, when it finally arrived, I called my friend. I was like, hey, do you want to come over? It's the weekend. The thing arrived. We could play it all weekend.
The weekend.
It was a great weekend. I like that. And that was 2007 by that point. But did you just get a message
sure
on Steam?
Did.
We've got one group chat on Steam with Jeremy, me, and friend of the show, Ollie. And he just sent a message to us out of the blue for no reason.
He sure did.
Okay, cool. I saw your eyes go to the corner. I'm like, I got to bring this up. So Twilight Princess. First Zelda game on the Wii, developed originally for the GameCube. I watched my stepbrother play a lot of the start of the game. Oh man, I thought it looked amazing, and I loved the concept of actually swinging the sword. And it does one of my favorite Zelda things, which doesn't happen that much these days, but you could do with the motion sword, the motion control sword motion, which is walking around and slashing your sword without stopping. Which is great. So you can just walk through and just slash, which is really good for cutting rupees. I don't know, it's a weirdly specific thing, but it's a very satisfying action to take in Twilight Princess.
Right. Okay.
This is one of those games I wish they'd bring the Wii U remaster to Switch.
Right.
And I don't know if they will, but whenever they do, we'll see.
It's part of that collection that's been rumored for fucking ever now.
Yeah. Then where is it though?
What's Nintendo? They just do whatever. They just decide.
I know, but they might just do whatever and not release it.
They might. They fucking might.
I can't hope. I can't dream.
They won't
let me.
They'll wait until they have to push Breath of the Wild, the sequel, back another year
to 2024.
And they'll bring I reckon the 3D Zelda remake will come out this year because Breath of the Wild 2 had to be pushed. I reckon we'll see it in 2.5 months.
Yeah.
And it'll be released by the end of the year.
Okay.
But the rumor is it's been finished forever.
Yeah, but like we haven't actually seen it.
Yeah, I know.
The one we heard like substantial rumors for, we saw. They came out with it last year. It was Skyward Sword. So like, yeah. But yeah, Twilight Princess was so cool. Like it was, I remember this was right around the time when I was starting to watch more video online and I saw the trailer for Twilight Princess. This trailer is kind of epic for people who are on the internet in like 2005. But it's got that animation of him swinging the sword and then like twirling it around behind his back and straight into the sheath behind him. Like, and he does that when he kills a boss in the game every time. It's like, oh, it's so sick. It's a bit from the trailer. But this, yeah, I know a lot of people who played this who were sort of a bit more, who were a bit older and bigger fans of Ocarina of Time didn't enjoy this game as much because it was like derivative, but not different enough, but not the same enough. Like, it had a hard job to be the next Ocarina of Time. Yeah. But honestly, I think it did an awesome job. The intro is really long, sure, but it tells a great story. The art style, I don't think it's traveled very well. I don't think it's aged very well, but it looked amazing at the time. I like this game a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think
Aragon, though.
We need to give an honorable mention as well to Wii Sports.
Yeah. One of the highest selling games of all time.
Yep. And, a good one as well.
Yeah.
It's a good game.
It is. I played so much. I played a bunch of that. The one I played the least probably was baseball.
I think I played golf the least, and because it took way longer than all the others.
Totally. But bowling and tennis, man, they were so good. I used to play those a lot with my
boxing's in the
brother.
middle.
Yeah, boxing's in the middle. That's really silly and really inconsistent, but good fun.
Yeah.
It was fun when people would come over, make their Miis to put into Wii Sports, and then you never saw them again. And then you're scrolling through your Miis 4 years later, and you're like, who's like Ragnar?
Yeah. Remember when I took your Switch?
Jeremy, there's only like one. There's two Miis on my Switch. One of them is the one I made, which looks normal, and then there's the monstrosity you made.
Yeah.
I was playing the Mario Kart DLC tracks the other day with Sam, and I was trying to pick a character that would make me drive worse, and I almost picked your Mii, and then I didn't want to look at it, so I didn't. We should post that on Twitter. But yeah, it was something so good. There was a time when my brother and I, we went, we'd play tennis at like every 1 or 2 nights. We'd play for 5 to 30 minutes, and there were close matches when it was the two of us.
Yep.
It's so good. Have you had any interest in the Nintendo Switch Sports or Sports Online or whatever they called it? I have
had interest in it. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up. I think I'm going to wait until the rest of the games are in it. Because some of them are not. There are some omissions in this one, which is like
golf.
Yeah, but it's also like what are you doing? Like, what is,
if it's coming in this hot, then what?
Like, what is going on? These are sports games. These are like, you made these before.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure. What are we doing?
Because it's shipping physically with the leg strap. I wonder if maybe like they hit that date and they were like, look, we can get the others out, but like we've hit this physical deadline. Like, we actually just need to start going.
That's still really weird.
So yeah, no, it's not great, but I wonder if that's a peculiarity with this game that I wonder if that had an effect on it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, it's I have thought about it. I don't know. Might wait for a drop a little bit in price.
Play some Chambara.
Yeah.
It's already like $60. Isn't it already cheaper?
I've got no idea. No clue.
Let's look that up. You used to say hopefully.
No, I said I've got no clue.
Oh, no clue.
I'm not that mean.
JB's got it for $59, which is generally
Can I get it without the leg strap? Because I've already got a leg strap.
You could probably buy it digitally.
All right. Okay.
Show Nintendo. Yeah, how much is it, Nintendo? Oh, you're not going to show. Yeah, get digital. Here we go. Is this going to take me to their store? Wow, it is. $56 digitally.
I'll get it physically for $4 more.
You can wear 2 leg straps. For no games that support that.
Yeah. Well, Ring Fit, but you need the...
Not 2 leg straps.
No, yeah.
It seems weird that they've come out with that and it's like 6 games. I like Wii Sports Resort a lot.
Yeah.
I like sword fighting. That's fun. Well, that's about it, everyone. That was 2006. Where were you when Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess came out? What did you do on Boxing Day in 2006? Were you playing Aragon when it was raining during the test match? I'll bet you were. If you weren't, tell us what you were up to on our socials. We're on Twitter. That's when you can see where every episode goes up. We put something up there every week. We're also on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch. We're on YouTube as well.
There's not a lot on most of those yet. Sit tight. Well, it's the reason we're doing this.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But we said at the start of last week, which was like, oh, it turns out it's hard to gain much traction on a video-focused platform when we don't have much video.
Yeah.
That's part of why we're doing this. I think we've made a good start, but getting this far was a fair bit of work, especially from Jeremy. So seeing how our workflow is, we'll start trying to break these out, edit them down, get some funny clips out, put those on those places. But you can reach out to us on all of those places as well if you want to do that. The YouTube videos as well will be reachable through our pages on the website, minimap.com.au. If you want to support us monetarily, you can go to patreon.com/minimapau. If you feel like doing that, helps us keep things running. All of this does cost a bit of money each month. So if you want to support us, keep the show going.
And so much time.
So much time.
So
much time and effort and work, especially from Jeremy. He's put in so much work this week. I couldn't stop him from working on it this week.
I did a very brief bit of math at work today, and I was like, I was doing like 8-hour days after my 8-hour day.
Yeah, man. And like all of your weekend.
Yeah, and yeah, pretty much all of my weekend.
Thank God you found Katamari yesterday.
Yeah. It was a really good way to honestly like top off the week.
Yep. No, that's it. You were enjoying it. You weren't.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
Yeah, I that was why I couldn't stop you, is because like you wanted to. And I think you've done an excellent job and it's turned out really well. I'm super impressed. Thanks. So, I recommend everyone go and check out the video. It's going to be on the website, minimap.com.au. You can find the podcast feed there, as well as on any podcast service of your choice. But just even for 5 minutes, find the YouTube video and see what we've been able to do with it. Or if you've got us on like a second monitor on Spotify while you're doing something, check out the YouTube video and you can watch us when we laugh and cry our eyes out.
Yeah, or go to the part
the Amiga 1 OS.
go to the part where I'm talking about Katamari and we're in the hat.
Yeah, or at the start where you saw my cat. Like, there's going to be lots of things like that. We'll make sure we keep describing things for the audio audience. We're going to be aware that there's going to be people who are listening to this only on the audio, so we're not going to forget you. Don't worry. But for just this week, I'm gonna say, if you've got the time, try and watch the video at least for 5 minutes, just to see Jeremy's hard effort. There's so slick transitions between the break and the intro and the outro. It's a good time. So well done, Jeremy. Thank you so much for putting the work in. Thank you, audience, for listening. We're going to be here next week talking about more video games. I can't wait to talk about Final Fantasy IX, maybe.
Also, Kerry's on Twitter at KJPalmer_24, and I'm on Twitter at OB1Jez.
That's a good point. I forgot to do that. We've already pressed the outro button. We're going to say goodbye now. Goodbye!